Lesson 3.5, multiply two-digit factors with regrouping. We can use regrouping to multiply two-digit factors. We can only place one digit in each place value for the product, so we regroup when necessary. Here we have 76 times 34. We start with estimating. The 76 will round to an 80. The 6 tells the 7 to go up to an 8, and then it becomes a 0, so we have 80. And the 4 tells the 3 to stay the same, and it becomes a 0, so that rounds to 30. We can see the basic facts, 8 times 3, which is 24. We have 2 zeros in the factors, so there's 2 zeros in the product. We have 2,400. So that should be our estimate, and our final product should be close to 2,400. So we can think of this as 4 times 76. Our first step is we multiply the 4 times the 6, which is 24, and we regroup the 2 to the tens place. Now we multiply the 4 to the 7 tens. Well, that's 28 tens, plus 2 more tens is 30 tens, so 30 tens is 300. We write a 30 here. The 4 is already in the ones place. We have 304 so far. Now we're going to be multiplying this 3 that's in the tens place to the 76. So we can think of this as 76 times 3 tens. We multiply 3 tens times 6, which is 18 tens. And this is a 30, isn't it? So it's like 3 tens is 30, so it's like 30 times 6, which is equal to 180. We write the 1 up here, and we write the 80 down here. We regroup the 1 and write the 80 down here. Now we multiply 3 tens times 7 tens. We can think 3 times 7 is 21, plus 1 more 10 is 22 tens. And we write that here. Then we add our partial products. We have 4 plus 0 is 4, 0 plus 8 is 8, 3 plus 2 is 5. We drop down the 2. We have 2,584. Our estimate was 2,400, so it's a reasonable answer. Now we're going to do this several more times, so stick with me. When we're multiplying a two-digit number by a two-digit number, when we get to this step, after we multiplied the 4 to the 76, and we got 304, when we get to this step, this space will always be a 0. Always. Now there were a lot of steps and they could be confusing, so let's try multiplying two digits by two digits without regrouping and see how that goes. We have 32 times 21. Step 1 is we multiply 1 times 2, which is 2. Step 2 is we multiply 1 times 3, which is 3. And that's really 1 times 3 tens, isn't it? That's why the 3 is going in the tens place. Now, for step 3, we come over here, and we do this 2 times that 2. But that's really in the tens place, so that's 2 tens. That's a 20 times 2, which is 40. And we write the answer down here. Now, we need to multiply the 2 to the 3. We have 2 tens times 3 tens. That's 20 times 30, isn't it? And that would be a 600. So we can put it here in the hundreds place. We add the partial products. 2 plus 0 is 2. 3 plus 4 is 7. We drop down the 6. It's equal to 672. So we started with the ones, and then we did the 1 going on a slant this way. Then we did the 2 in the tens place, and we went on a slant that way. Then we went straight up. So see how the 2 middle steps are slanting to the left, then slanting to the right? All right, so let's do it again one more time without regrouping. We have steps 1 and 2. We're going to start by going 1 times 2 is 2, and 1 times 4 tens is 40, so the 4 is going to go into the tens place. For steps 3 and 4, we're going to move over to this 3, and that's really in the tens place, isn't it? So that's a 30. So it's like we're doing 30 times 2. We're doing 3 times 2, which is 6. But because it's 30 times 2, it's a 60. See that? And we can write it here. This spot is always a 0, isn't it? Now we do 3 times 4, which is 12, and we can write it here. And that's really 30 times 40, isn't it? So that's 1,200. That's why it goes there. We add our partial products. 2 plus 0 is 2. 4 plus 6 is 10. We regroup the 1 and put the 0 down. We have 2 plus 1 is 3. We drop down the 1. We have 1,302. We started here. We multiplied straight up, then to the left. Then we came to the tens place, multiplied it to the right, and straight up. Then we added the partial products. So now let's try it with regrouping. We have steps 1 and 2. So we're going to start here, and then we're going to multiply off on a slant to the left, aren't we? So we do 4 times 7, which is 28. We can only put 1 digit here. So we regroup the 2 for the 28 and put the 8 down here. Now we're going to do 4 times 6, which is 24, 25, 26. We add that 2, and we put the 26 here. It's really 4 times 6 tens, which is 24 tens, plus 2 more is 26 tens. See that? For steps 3 and 4, we're going to start here with the 5 in the tens place, and we're going to lean off to the right up here. Then we're going to go straight up. So we have a 5 tens, right? Because that's a 50. That's 5 tens times 7. So that's 350. We regroup the 3 and we can put the 50 down. And see how that's always a 0? It's always a 0, isn't it? Now we do the 5 times the 6, which is 30, plus 3 more is 33. We write it here, and that's really 50 times 60, which is 3,000 plus another 300, isn't it? So we have 3,300 there. We add our partial products. We have 8 plus 0 is 8. 6 plus 5 is 11. We regroup the 1 and put the 1 down. We have 3 plus 2 plus 1 is 6. We drop down the 3. We have 3,618. So we started here, multiplied straight up, regrouped, then multiplied off to the left, added the regrouped amount, and wrote it here. Then we went to the tens place. We leaned off to the right and multiplied, regrouped the number down here. Then we went straight up, multiplied, and added the regrouped number, and then added our partial products. We're going to keep trying this, so hold on. It's important to remember the commutative property of multiplication states we can multiply in any order and get the same product. If we do 3 times 2, that equals 6, and 2 times 3 equals 6. It didn't matter the order of the factors, it still equaled 6. Well, that works for larger factors too. 67 times 54 is going to have the same product as 54 times 67. Doesn't matter what order because of the commutative property. So we're going to see how this is related to the distributive property, okay? For steps 1 and 2, we start with 4 times 7, which is 28. We regroup the 2 and put the 8 down. Then we do 4 times 6 tens plus 2 more tens. So we have 26 tens. That's 260. And then the 8 in the ones place, we have 268. So what's happening with the distributive property is we're doing 4 times 67. So that's like 4 times 60 plus 7, or I'm writing it as 7 plus 60 so you can follow what I did over here. We can add in any order, can't we? So that's 4 times 7 plus 4 times 60. 4 times 7 is 2 tens and 8 ones. 4 times 60 is 24 tens. We add the 24 tens to the 2 tens. That's what happened here. We had 24 tens and we added the 2 tens. That gave us 26 tens and the 8 ones. Now let's try doing steps 3 and 4 to finish. Now that we multiplied the 4 to the 7 and the 4 to the 6, we're going to multiply the 5 to the 7, which is really 5 tens, isn't it? Times 7, which would be a 50 times 7. So that would be 350. We regroup the 3 and write the 50 here. And look, we got our 0 there. Like always, that space is always a 0. Now we do the 5 tens times 6 tens plus 3 more. 5 times 6 is 30, plus 3 more is 33. We write it here. We add our partial products. 8 plus 0 is 8. 6 plus 5 is 11. We put the regrouped 1 up here and put the other 1 here. We do 3 plus 2 plus 1 is 6. We write it down here. We drop down our 3, and we have 3,618. So this is how it would be related to the distributive property. We're looking at it as a 50, because it's 5 tens. We're looking at it as 50 times 67. So that's 50 times a 60 plus 7, but I wrote it as 7 plus 60 so you can understand what's going on here because we multiplied the 7 first. 50 times 7 is equal to 300s and 5 tens. Then we have 50 times 60. That's 30 hundreds. We add the 300s and the 30 hundreds and get 33 hundreds. See, just like we did here. Plus the 5 tens. That's that 50. And we add 3,300 plus 50, and we get 3,350. That's how we got that. And we add this partial product to this partial product, and we have our final product. And no matter how many problems we try, this will always be a 0. This spot will always be a 0. Now, did you notice this right here? How this got crossed off? Let's talk about that. And remember that turning our lined paper sideways helps keep place values straight. So after we multiply the 4 by the 6, we multiplied the 4 times the 7, and we regroup the 2 and put an 8 down. We have 67 times 74 this time. So we multiplied the 4 times the 7 and got a 28. We regrouped the 2 and put the 8 down. Then we multiplied 4 times 6, which is 24, and we added that 2 to get 26. So we had 268 when we multiplied 4 times 67. Now, we're finished with that regrouped 2, and we don't need it anymore. We already added it to the 24, so we cross it out. Now, when we multiply this 7 times the red 7, that's 49, and we regroup the 4 from the 49, the 4 isn't confused with the previous regrouped 2 because we crossed it off. We don't need it anymore. We put the 4 up here as a regrouped number. We put the 9 down here. Look, we have a 0. 7 times 6 is 42, plus 4 more is 46. We add our partial products and get 4,958. So whenever you have a regrouped number from multiplying the 1s to the upper factor, and you're finished adding that regrouped number, cross it off or erase it so you don't get it confused when you're regrouping from the tens place, okay? We can use different ways to multiply and still get the correct product. If we use place value in mental math, we have 46 times 50. We think 40 times 50. We have 4 tens times 5 tens. We think of the basic fact 4 times 5, which is 20, and we have 2 zeros in the factor, so we have 2 zeros in the product. We have 2,000. Now we do 6 times 50. We have basic fact of 6 times 5, which is 30. We have 1 zero in the factor, so we have 1 zero in the product. We have 300. We add the 2,000 plus 300, and it's equal to 2,300. We can use place value in regrouping. We have 46 times 50. We do 0 times 6, which is 0, and 0 times 4, which is 0. So we have 2 zeros here. We're doing 0 times 46. Now we go to the tens place and do 5 times 6, which is 30. We regroup the 3 and put the 0 down here. Look, we've got our 0 there, because this is really 5 tens times 6, which is 300. So we have a 300. But we can also look at it as 5 times 6 is 30, regroup the 3 and put the 0 down here, because we know that's going to be a 0. Then we do 5 times 4, which is 20, add the 3, we get a 23, we put it here, and we add up our partial products and get 2,300. So when there's a 0 in the first partial product, we can skip that step because 0 times any number is 0. If we have a 0 here, we know we're doing 0 times 46, and 0 times 46 is 0, so we just write a 0 in the ones place. Then we move over to this 5 and say 5 times 6 is 30. We write the 3 up here as a regroup number. We put the 0 down. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 3 is 23. We still have 2,300. So if this is a little confusing for you, you can do each step like you're supposed to, like this. As you get better at it, you're going to know I can just put a 0 here because 0 times 46 is 0, and then move to the tens place and do your multiplication. Let's try it again. This time the 0's on the top. We're going to do 30 times 58. So we estimate, well, 30 is 30. You estimate 30 to the closest 10, it's 30. The 8 here tells the 5 to go up to a 6, and then it becomes a 0, so that rounds to 60. We see the basic facts of 3 times 6, which is 18. We have 2 zeros in the factors, so we have 2 zeros in the product. We have 1,800. So that's our estimate. We start by doing 8 times 0, which is 0. Then we do 8 times 3, which is 24, and we write it here. Now we move to the tens place. 5 times 0 is 0, and 5 times 3 is 15. We add our partial products. We have a 0, a 4, a 7, and a 1. And look, that is a 0 because this is 5 tens times 0. So both place values are a 0, the tens place and the ones place. That's what happened there. Let's try it again. We've got 58 times 41. The 8 tells the 5 to round up to a 6, and then it becomes a 0, so we have 60. The 1 tells the 4 to stay the same, so this rounds to 40. We can see the basic fact of 6 times 4, which is 24. We have 2 zeros in the factors, so we have 2 zeros in the product. We have 2,400, so that's our estimate. We start by multiplying the 1 to the 8, which is an 8, the 1 to the 5, which is a 5, and ignore this, that's for the next regrouping. We can look at this as 1 times 58, can't we? We got a 58. Now we move to the 4 in the tens place, and because we're starting with the tens place, knowing that's going to be a 0, we can just multiply this as basic facts and start writing our answer in the tens place. So we have 4 times 8 is 32. We regroup the 3 and put the 2 down. Then we do 4 times 5 is 20 plus 3 more. We write 23. We add our partial products. We've got 8 and 0 is 8. 5 and 2 is 7. 3, and we drop down the 2. We have 2,378. So what happened here was because that 4 is in the tens place, we were actually doing 40 times 8, which is 320. So we put the 3 as a regrouped number up here and wrote the 20 down. But as I said, this is always going to be a 0, so we can just ignore this space. Some people, when they do multiplication, they don't even write anything there. They just say 4 times 8 is 32, and they write the 3 up here and put the 2 here, and they know to move over to that space because they're multiplying in the tens place. Okay? I know this can be confusing for some of you. For this problem, it's telling us to look for a pattern and write the rule. Take a look at this. We have years and months, and we have a variable y, which stands for the y in years, and a variable m, which is going to stand for the m in months. And if we look what's here already, it's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So do you know what would go here if we followed the pattern? If you said 6, you're right. It's going up by 1. And let's look at the pattern here. And we think if 2 years is 24 months, how many months is 1 year? Well, 1 is half of 2, so what's half of 24? And you may know that there are 12 months in a year, so that would be a 12. So now let's look and see if we can finish the table. It's saying 1 is 12, 2 is 24, 3 is 36, 4 is 48. Do you see the pattern? Do you know the rule? Whatever the number for y that we have on the table, it's being multiplied times 12. 1 times 12 is 12, 2 times 12 is 24, 3 times 12 is 36, 4 times 12 is 48, and each one of these is 12 more. So our rule is y times 12. So what would be in this space and what would be in this space? Well, we could do 5 times 12. We could also add 12 more to the 48. Do you know 12 times 5 or 48 plus 12? If you said 60, you're right. And what would be 12 more than 60? 6 times 12. If you said 72, you're right. So using our rule, what would be the equation for 15 years? What if this table kept going on and on and on until it said 15 years? What equation could we write? If you said 15 times 12, you're right. The 15 would be up here in this row for y, and we would multiply it times 12. We would have 15 times 12. Tala and Sophia have jump ropes. Tala can do 52 jumps per minute. Sophia can do 49 jumps per minute. How many jumps can they both do in 16 minutes? So we know Tala can do 52 jumps, we know Sophia can do 49, and we need to know how many they can do in 16 minutes. So we need to multiply 52 times 16 and 49 times 16. Then we need to add the products to know what they both can do in 16 minutes. We start with 52 times 16. We start with the ones place. We do 6 times 2, which is 12. We regroup the 1 and put the 2 down. Then we do 6 times 5, which is 30, plus 1 more is 31. So right here in this row, we have 312. Now we move to the tens place. And look, that's going to be a 0 because we're doing 10 times 2, which is a 20. See? We can think of it as we know that this space is going to be a 0, so we do 1 times 2 is 2. Then we do 1 times 5 is 5. And we should have crossed this out when we were finished adding it so that we didn't get confused with it when we were doing 1 times 2 and 1 times 5. See? It helps to cross them out. Now we add the partial products and we get 832 jumps for Tala. Now we multiply 49 times the 16 minutes. We have, starting here, 6 times 9 is 54. We regroup the 5 and put the 4 down. Now we do 6 times 4, which is 24, plus 5 more is 29. And now we finished with this 5. We need to cross it out so it doesn't get confusing. Now we're going to do 1 times 9, which is really 10 times 9. That's a 90. But we know there's going to be a 0 here, so we can look at it as a 1 times 9 and write our 9 here. Then we do 1 times 4, which is 4, and we add our partial products. We have 4 plus 0 is 4, 9 plus 9 is 18. We regroup the 1, put the 8 down, and we have 4 plus 2 is 6, plus 1 more is 7. We have 784 for Sophia. Now we're going to add Tala's and Sophia's together. We have 832 plus 784. We have a 6. On 11, we regroup the 1 and put the 1 down. We have 16. We have 1,616 jumps for both of them in 16 minutes. Emma's school chess club purchased 24 chess sets for $19 each. How much did the chess club spend? So we need to multiply 24 times the $19. And we can look at it in a model. We can break the 19 into a 10 plus 9 and break the 24 into a 20 plus 4. So we know we need to do 10 times 20, 10 times 4, 9 times 20, 9 times 4. So let's do an estimate first. The 19 is going to round to 20. And this 24, we can just make it a 25. And instead of rounding it, we could just use compatible numbers. Because 2 times 25 is 50. We have 1 0 in the factor, so we'd have 1 more 0 in the product. We have $500. So that would be our estimate. We start with the 4 times the 9, which is 36. And we regroup the 3 and put the 6 down. Now we do 4 times 1, which is 4, 5, 6, 7. And we're finished using this regrouped 3, so we're going to cross it out. We can also erase it to get it out of the way so that we don't get confused with it. Now, we know this is going to be a 0, don't we? We've got 20 times 9, which is 180. But because we know that's going to be a 0, we can look at this as a 2 times 9, which is 18, and we can regroup the 1 and put the 8 down. Now we can do 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 more is 3, and we write it here. Now we add our partial products. We've got a 6. We've got 8 plus 7 is 15. We regroup the 1 and put the 5 down. 3 plus 1 is 4. And we have to remember the dollar sign because this was a word problem about money. And we had a dollar sign there. So we know they spent $456. So multiplying two-digit factors with regrouping can be confusing. You need to keep your place value straight, so you could turn your paper sideways. One of the biggest errors that students make is they don't put the numbers into the correct place value, or they don't write the numbers clearly. Then they add up the wrong numbers. When they write a 6, they think it's a 0 because they didn't write it clearly. Have a wonderful day. We're going to move on to lesson 3.6, where we talk about multiplying with partial products and regrouping. And I hope I'll see you there. Bye.